Hey, welcome to the Pet Services Podcast, where we go over owning a pet services business, making money, and giving business owners better lives. So, today I just want to talk a little bit about competition, particularly in the pet world, but this really applies to any business. This is an industry where you see a lot of employees starting their own companies. You see it in grooming, you see it in training, you see it in dog walking, almost every aspect. Obviously, the higher overhead ones, maybe not. But the reason being is that in the pet world, in the pet services industry, especially, there's a very small barrier to entry. So this means that it's very easy for anyone to open up one of these businesses. Dog walking businesses, all you need is the ability to move and control a dog. You can literally be in a wheelchair and still run a successful dog walking business. You don't need a retail location. You really just need a phone. And even services like grooming. Now, you can do in-home grooming to start, and the only thing that you need is the equipment and the knowledge. As you grow, it definitely helps to have a dedicated space or a mobile unit, but you can start without one. So the larger barrier to entry is going to be when there's overhead, when you actually need a retail location, and when you need staff, and when you have stringent compliance standards. So starting one of these services businesses is actually very simple. It's quite easy as far as businesses go because you don't need a lot for it. It's especially easy if you don't need a storefront, and it's especially easy if you don't have many or any employees. So, this is what I would refer to as a simple business. As a result, if you start doing well, people are likely to say, "Hey, look, Jane's doing super well. She's obviously making a lot of money. That looks fun. I can do it too." And so, as a result, you are going to get a new competitor. Also, it's a frequent issue that any staff that you have working for your company is going to branch off and start their own businesses. So the question then becomes, how do you stop it? I would say that you actually can't stop it. So then the question becomes, what about non-compete contracts? So those contracts are really very difficult to enforce. In fact, they're very rarely enforced. I think I've seen two non-competes ever enforced in my life, and they were not in the pet services business. And I will also say that it really is more of a scare tactic for potential employees if they sign a non-compete. They're worried about it more than they actually need to be if they were going to start a new business. There are legal ramifications to preventing people from starting their own businesses. Courts do not like that. Most countries are free and most countries are capitalist countries, especially the United States, and you are permitted to go into business for yourself. You can't just stop somebody from going into business for themselves. You can contract into theft of clients, so you can make it illegal for people to steal your clients, and that's a little bit more enforceable, and you can definitely get punitive damages on people for doing something like that, as well as real damages. It's a lot easier to show. But at the same time, if a customer wants to leave your company and go with somebody else, they have the right to do that. But realistically, we're not talking about a lot of money. It's very unrealistic for you to chase after somebody who has already done this damage. Suing somebody is a very expensive process, and it opens you up to the risk of what happens if you lose. You'll often have to pay the cost of legal fees. And for the vast majority of lawsuits, the only people that really win are the lawyers. So it's quite pointless to sue somebody as well that doesn't have any money. Like, you could try to collect, but the reality of the situation is that you probably won't. So can you stop competition from opening up? The answer is no, not really, not very easily. And I never recommend sabotaging another business. Do not get dirty. Do not go online. Don't trash them. Don't go into the Facebook groups and talk smack and all that stuff. Like, don't tell your staff members they suck. It's a very bad look. And you don't look better by by trashing another company. If you are better than that other company, then it'll be pretty obvious and you don't have to worry about it. And sometimes people break off pieces of the pie. Your best way is to fight the good fight in the marketplace and make your business better. So what's the better way to stop an employee from opening up their own business? Make working for your business better than them working for themselves. As somebody who owns several businesses, I can for sure tell you that owning a business is very stressful. Also, running a business, while it has a very great upside if you do it well, the vast majority of business owners do struggle. And the employees don't see that struggle. They just see you bringing in lots of revenue and don't necessarily consider things like the cost of insurance or payroll taxes or payroll or HR nightmares or the fees you have to pay or the rent you have to pay or the liability that happens when you run a business, and the list goes on. So a third of people's lives are spent working, a third are spent sleeping, and a third are spent doing everything else. So make sure that people are enjoying their time at work, and that's the best way for you to avoid dissent. So what does that look like? Is work enjoyable? Like, do you pay your people enough? Are you meeting some of their personal goals? And do you even know what your staff's personal goals are? So to do that, there's also a difference between running your own business and being an independent contractor that just works for themselves. So working for yourself is usually a one-man or woman show or two-man or woman show. But when you're running a business machine with multiple people, multiple moving parts, there is a barrier of entry to that. It's a life that a lot of people don't want to live. And since many pet services have a low barrier to entry, competition is coming. And I can tell you, more competition in your industry is not necessarily a bad thing. It's definitely a good thing for the consumer. Less good for you if you're in a small marketplace. But it brings me to the point of the podcast, which is the best way to beat out competition is to run a better business, better services, better customer service, and better care for the pets. And if you do that, your business will follow. So that's it for today. I just wanted to just give you a little bit more on that topic. If you want to hear more insights and advice on running a pet services business, please and subscribe and give me a rating. I'll do my best to pump out some quality, no fluff content for you. Thank you. I'm signing out. Peace.